Sometimes the best way to really get a handle on the future is to just look at a tiny slice of the present, but like with a magnifying glass. So for this explainer, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're zooming in on just a 48-hour window in January of 2026 to understand the huge forces that are shaping our world right now. Okay, let's get into it.
All right, this might sound like the start of a really weird joke, but seriously, what do diapers made with actual silk, music playlists generated from your memories, and a president threatening tariffs over Greenland, what do they all have in common? I mean, on the surface, they just look like a bunch of random, disconnected headlines from a super busy news day.
But here's the thing. They're not random. Not at all. Think of each of these stories as a puzzle piece, and when you start to put them together, they create this really clear picture of the powerful currents, technology, society, and politics that are all colliding to define our time. So, let's connect those dots.
First up, we have to start with the single biggest engine of change right now, artificial intelligence. It's just moving faster than anyone, and I mean anyone, predicted. And its impact is kind of splitting into two very different, almost opposite directions.
Just take a listen to this. It's a statement from Elon Musk, and he's promising a massive robotaxi network across the entire US by the end of this year. Now look, we've all heard ambitious timelines from him before, right? But the very fact that this is even being talked about as something that could happen soon, well, it just shows you how quickly AI is jumping out of the digital world and into our physical one. And this, right here, is the central tension we're seeing everywhere. On one hand, you've got AI as this incredible tool for creativity and making things super personal. But on the other hand, it's this massive disruptive force that's causing some serious anxiety in established industries, basically threatening to make whole business models just obsolete. On the creator side of things, just look at what Spotify is doing. They've rolled out this wild new feature that lets you generate a playlist from a simple prompt. And I don't just mean asking for a genre. You can ask for music that feels like a specific memory, or a vibe for a 30-minute run that perfectly ends with a cool-down track. This is AI making our daily lives better in a really cool, personal way. But then you get the flip side, the disruptor. Now what's fascinating here is the split. The overall tech market is doing okay, it's slightly up. But that cloud software index, it's down over 8% this year. And why? Well, there's this deep fear on Wall Street that all these new AI agents are just going to make the software that companies like Salesforce and ServiceNow built their empires on totally useless. It's the creator and the destroyer happening at the exact same time.
All right, so that's tech. But of course, it's not happening in a vacuum, which brings us to our second major force, societal adaptation. Huge demographic and cultural shifts are forcing some of the biggest companies in the world to completely rewrite their playbooks for how they reach you, the consumer.
And honestly, it all kind of boils down to this one number, 40. The median age for a first-time homebuyer in the US has hit 40 years old. That is an all-time high. And this single stat from the National Association of Realtors, it explains so much. I mean, if you're a company like Lowe's, what on earth do you do when your core customer just keeps getting older and older?
Well, you play the long game. Lowe's is trying to build a relationship with people decades, literally decades, before they even think about buying a house. They're bringing back free kids' workshops to get families in the store, they're partnering with massive influencers like Mr. Beast, and they're building loyalty programs around everyday stuff, not just huge renovation projects. The whole goal is to make Lowe's a habit long before it's a necessity.
And this isn't just a US thing. You see a really similar trend happening all over the globe. In China, Procter & Gamble is up against a record low birth rate, right? Fewer babies means fewer diaper sales. So what's their solution? Go luxury. They've launched this super premium Pampers Prestige line that uses, get this, actual silk fibers. The strategy is so clear. If parents are going to have fewer kids, convince them to spend a lot more on the one they do have.
And this societal shift goes beyond shopping. It's about where we work, too. The CEO of the flexible office company Industrious, which has just seen explosive growth, he absolutely nails the change in mindset here. The pandemic proved that for a ton of people, the office doesn't have to be some downtown skyscraper. This desire to work close to home is fueling a huge boom in smaller, neighborhood-based workspaces.
And that brings us to our third force. This is where things get, well, messy and unpredictable. We're talking about the volatile intersection of politics and markets, where a single comment or even a tweet can send billions of dollars flying around the globe in an instant.
So to really get this, you have to know this piece of market slang, the taco trade. It's an acronym that stands for Trump Always Chickens Out. And it describes this pattern where the president threatens these massive tariffs, the market freaks out and sells off, and then he walks the threat back. It's a term that got really popular in 2025, and as we're about to see, it just made a very dramatic comeback.
And this timeline from our 48-hour window shows it perfectly. So on Monday, President Trump threatens tariffs on European countries that are opposing his plan to acquire Greenland. Tuesday, global markets tank. Then on Wednesday, speaking from Davos, he announces he has a concept of a deal and reverses course. The markets, they instantly rally. It's a perfect, almost textbook example of high-stakes politics directly yanking on the chain of global finance. But politics isn't just about tariffs, of course. It's also about policy. This quote from JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon is, wow, it's remarkable. It was an incredibly rare and pointed public criticism from a huge corporate leader about U.S. immigration enforcement. It's one of those moments where the business world, which usually tries to stay quiet, just felt it had to speak out on a really divisive political issue.
And finally, politics plays a massive role in who controls the media you consume. This table kind of breaks down the huge battle for Warner Bros. Discovery. So you have Netflix, who wants to buy the studio and streaming assets while spinning off the old cable channels. But then Paramount has jumped in with a hostile bid for the entire company. The future of iconic brands like HBO, CNN, and the Warner Bros. Movie studio, it now all comes down to which deal politicians and regulators in both the US and Europe will actually allow to happen.
So, after that whirlwind 48 hours, what's the takeaway? What have we learned? Well, what we've seen are three very distinct, very powerful forces all crashing into each other at the same time. First, you've got the absolute breakneck pace of technological acceleration, with AI acting as both this incredible creative force and a destructive one. Second, there's this deep societal adaptation, with all of us and the companies that serve us reacting to fundamental shifts in how we live. And third, there's the constant political volatility, where decisions made in Washington and Davos cause these immediate massive ripples in markets around the world. And all of that leaves us with one final crucial question. As these powerful currents keep colliding and reshaping everything around us, which one is ultimately going to be the most dominant? Is it going to be the relentless march of technology, our own incredible ability to adapt as humans, or just the raw exercise of political power? That right there is the story of 2026.